Honda has become one of the most popular car brands in history, largely thanks to the reliability of their vehicles paired with low maintenance costs. Although this is true for most components of a Honda, their ultra-common inline-4 engines are usually the centerpiece of this claim. Worldwide, Honda has made some of the most reliable and desirable inline-4 engines ever, but not all of them can be equal. So today we'll be ranking every Honda inline-4 in a tier list format to find out which one comes out on top. Let's get started. Starting off, we have the Honda E-Series, which interestingly also included several inline 2-cylinder engines. The 2 cylinders were meant for usage in K cars predominantly in Japan, but its bigger 4-cylinder siblings were found worldwide. The E-Series is categorized by small, lightweight, low power, but very durable engines. It powered the Civic for roughly 15 years and never skipped a beat. Honda's ED engine introduced CVCC, or compound vortex controlled combustion, a really fascinating technology that is worth looking deeper into. It utilized two portions of the combustion chamber and carefully controlled the air-fuel ratios in each part to obtain a complete combustion reaction. With a regular engine, the reaction that actually occurs is known as incomplete combustion, meaning that some fuel is left over and not all of it is converted. With complete combustion, all reactants turn into either thermal energy, water molecules, or carbon dioxide. Essentially, no fuel is left behind, resulting in tremendous efficiency. The ED engine was awarded and recognized worldwide for this, as in the 70s, the Honda Civics with this technology achieved unimaginable fuel economy. The only real thing that you can knock on the E-Series is power output, but with displacement accounted for, it's really not that bad. A tremendously innovative engine, the E-Series will kick us off in the A tier. Next up is the Honda A-Series found in the 80s Accord and Prelude. These engines were a little larger than the E-Series in displacement and made with a cast iron block joined to an aluminum head. All three engines within the A-Series had a 12-valve setup and were only found naturally aspirated. However, these power plants became decently popular for engine builds and gained a lot of aftermarket support. It's not uncommon to see owners throw on a turbocharger, which the factory internals handle quite well. The main difference within the A-Series is the A20A having a multi-point electronic fuel injection system in later versions, while the remaining A-Series engines came equipped with a carburetor. When I think of a desirable 4-cylinder for basic daily driving use, reliability and efficiency are what come to mind, and that is really where the A-Series excels. Although modification is readily accepted, the power is somewhat average. On the whole, these units do a lot of things quite well, but nothing that will blow you away. A fitting description for the B tier. The Honda F-Series was one of the bigger 4-cylinders that Honda put out, getting all the way up to 2.3 liters. It's most known for its 2.0 liter variant, the F20, that powered the legendary Honda S2000. This engine put out over nearly 240 horsepower, making for a specific power output of 120 horsepower per liter, which is unheard of even today. Throw in a 9,000 RPM redline with VTEC and it's a no-brainer why the S2000 is so popular. Outside of just the F20C, many other F-Series engines shared similar architecture found in a variety of other vehicles. The F-Series engines can vary quite a bit, with specific engines having different block and head materials as well as different valve train types. Some of the higher production volume versions in applications like the Odyssey have been said to leak oil with age as the seals wear down and can also experience misfires. I want to make it abundantly clear that the F20C is an S-tier engine without question, but when considering the F-Series as a whole, for the small oil leak issue and simply because some of the engines later on the list are really quite perfect, the F-Series will go into the A tier. Moving on to the Honda D-Series, we have a small displacement engine intended for achieving maximum efficiency. Across the series, either a dual or single cam is equipped, and VTEC is also found in the later models. These power units were found in a few major applications, most notably the Civic as a smaller engine offering and in countries with stricter emissions laws. Over its production run, the Honda D engine could be found worldwide, where many issues were also documented over time. The most notable were weak connecting rods and cylinder walls, making for poor modification response, as well as some oil leaks and rough idling that can be difficult to track down the cause of. As you dig through forums, many owners claim the engines feel somewhat gutless and can be more of a headache than they're worth. It must be said, however, that efficiency was the aim of the engine, a goal which was well met. Many D-Series engines can regularly get over 40 miles per gallon, which is quite impressive without any hybrid assistance. Overall, when considering the issues, low output, and the quality of the other engines here, the D-Series will have to go into the D tier. Running production at the same time as the D-Series, Honda's B-Series was usually the larger engine offered if two were available for the same vehicle. All B-Series engines are dual overhead cam and naturally aspirated from the factory. The B engines are no slouch though, putting out 100 horsepower per liter in some variations. Now, if you're familiar with Honda, you'll know that the B-Series is an absolute legend. It was the first engine ever to introduce VTEC, an ingenious system that enables engines to modify volumetric efficiency and make more top-end power, as well as the force behind many of the memes that you see on the internet. VTEC really gained respect in the likes of the B16B, which powered the late 90s Civic Type R, while being the very component that made the car desirable. The B18C5, also found in the Integra Type R, has emerged as a nearly unbeatable tuner option. It redlines at 8,400 RPM from stock and sounds glorious. Pretty much any B-Series engine can handle a ton of boost and make ridiculous amounts of power for super cheap. Engines like these gave the tuner community a ton to work with and never disappointed. That said, the B-Series engine is always bulletproof from the jump and plenty of fun in stock form. Between the astounding performance and modification capability and the invention of VTEC, the B-Series has to go into the S tier. The Honda H-Series was by design the successor to the F-Series and received some updates. First off, the H-Series are full aluminum construction, dual overhead cam with 16 valves, and include VTEC. All those things together make for an efficient engine with a fair bit of power while being relatively lightweight. Such characteristics landed engines like the H22 in motorsports applications, where a slightly modified one powered some Formula 3 cars. Other H-Series engines were used in IMSA's TCR racing class, where Honda found moderate success. As far as road-going versions are concerned, the band of application is relatively narrow, but plenty of accords can be found with an H-Series. Many of these engines had a closed-deck block, making them a great candidate for boosted builds. It isn't uncommon to see one of these engines at a drag strip, although most go for a K-Series in modern times. On the whole, the H-Series is a lightweight and capable engine with a high airflow top end. It's fair to say that such an engine should earn the A tier. A modern version of the small and efficient 4-cylinder, Honda's L-Series can be found in a huge range of applications. Although most come naturally aspirated to achieve the highest fuel economy possible, the L15 can be found with a turbo running nearly 20 psi. In these formats, over 200 horsepower can be had with just a 1.5 liter displacement. Every L engine comes with VTEC and can get 40 to 50 miles per gallon in some applications like the Honda Fit. To this day, Honda produces these engines worldwide, with many issues corrected along the way. The most notable of these problems was an all-out engine failure caused by fuel getting into the oil. In minor cases, the result would be a strong gas smell in the cabin as residual fuel finds its way into the oil and combustion chambers. Yet in more extreme cases, a cylinder could potentially fire while at bottom dead center, usually shooting a rod through the block. The newer and particularly the turbocharged engines don't seem to have such concerns from what I can find, but some of the early models are worth looking over carefully. Although a solid engine that achieves impressive fuel economy, with how problem-free every other engine has been, the L-Series will fall into the C tier. The R-Series is very much an engine with two different stories. Early models are worth avoiding, while the later ones are respectable. Every R-Series is fully aluminum, but the units made between 2006 and 2009 were the victim of a manufacturing error. Each engine block was cast aluminum, meaning that molten aluminum was poured through a sprue into a die mold where it would then solidify into the engine block's design. When the early engines were made, an issue in the die design allowed voids to form within the material, not visible from the engine block surface. This resulted in many engine blocks cracking, as the internal voids would grow with heat and pressure. After the engine block cracks, coolant can leak out, allowing the engine to overheat. Quite often, this process would play out, leaving owners with a blown engine. While that doesn't sound particularly fun, the R-Series earns some credit, as Honda fixed the issue after 2009. With casting defects in the rear view, what was left behind was a modestly powered, lightweight, and efficient engine. Found in many commuter vehicles, such strengths fit well within each application, where the R-Series does what it needs to do and nothing more. I would normally place the R-Series around the B tier, as the majority of model years are arguably trouble-free, but the severity of the casting issue will pull it down to the C tier. And finally, the reason you're watching this video, the fabled Honda K-Series has quite a laundry list of good attributes. It seems everywhere you look, someone is K-swapping something. Name a performance car and I guarantee you that someone has K-swapped it. That alone should be evidence of how great of an engine it is, but I'll break down the specifics of why. First off, the biggest deviation from the previous engines is the larger displacement, with the K24 being the largest engine we've covered today. This gives more potential for modification and a higher power ceiling. From what I've found, it's really easy to get a K-Series to make around 450 to 500 horsepower for a reasonable price, but beyond that the internals may need some work, which will increase the overall price of the build. Even if modified, the K-Series is one of the most reliable engines ever put out by any manufacturer and in any configuration. They're really easy to work on, sound incredible, and can be found in the vicinity of $1,000. That is exactly why many will put a K-Series in a track car or a project car, because it will stand up to immense abuse, and even if something goes wrong, your financial life won't be completely ruined. Even in its stock form, the K-Series has brought us classic performance cars like the Civic Type R of the last 2 decades. Parts are readily available, and the online knowledge base is legitimately endless. I really have nothing bad to say about the K-Series, and surely it should wrap things up in the S tier. So that will do it. Each of the Honda Inline 4 engines ranked. If you haven't yet, go check out the Toyota Inline 4 tier list and see how your favorite Honda engines stacked up against their biggest rivals. Also be sure to subscribe to the channel to see the rest of the series, and let me know in the comments if there's anything I missed or that you would change. Thanks for watching and have a great day.